For all of us who live in the decadent and apostate West, especially America, places like Australia and Canada and the UK, which more or less have become very similar in their ways and outlook and in grave apostasy from God, this message, we should really take this to heart. What awaits us? I mean, the signs are everywhere. All we got to do is open our eyes and see when you have the cultural square, as it were, things like the Grammys or whatever it might be, and they're essentially worshiping the enemy of salvation, and they're essentially reveling in their Sodom and Gomorrah reality. Well, we know what comes next, don't we? We've seen this before. This play has been played before, and we know how it ends. And so God help us in the midst of all this apostasy to remain faithful like Lot and Abraham and not go along with the apostasy. Now, the elder in his day had the following to say. This is at least 40, maybe about 40 years ago, right? So we're looking at the early 80s. I see things in general here in contemporary Greece and even on a universal scale, and I will tell you, I see them as very bad, very bad. I begin and I finish my day with a feeling of expectation, like something is going to happen. This is not new. I have felt this for some years now. I have this feeling because as a nation, we are not doing very well. We have lost all sense. We have made our immoral subconscious a public matter. Very interesting the way you put that. We've made our immoral subconscious, that which we should deny, those thoughts that come to people and they write me all the time and they say, Father, I have suicidal thoughts. They're not your thoughts. That direct them to where they came from, to the abyss. And yet here we have the immoral subconscious listening to the demon's suggestions and following after them and making them public, bringing them to the public square and making them a public matter. Now, all of the sickness and sins and abuse and distortion, all of that, we're now making that a public matter. We should be not only ashamed of it, but warring against it in the depths of our soul. And no, we've made it we publicize, he says, and display it. And we move with a large degree of galloping apostasy. Galloping apostasy reminds me of what he said earlier about the signs of the times and the coming of the end times. The end of the end times is like horses from a distance galloping. You can hear the hooves hitting the stone, and you can hear it getting louder and louder and louder, right? That's what he said was like the coming of the end is coming. Therefore, the only thing that we can expect is the exhaustion of God's forbearance and the coming of punishment. This is for the people of Greece he was talking about 40 years ago. What would he say today? Greece is in a very bad situation, much worse than his day, in terms of the apostasy of the vast majority of its leadership from the Orthodox Christian understanding outlook phronema. The vast majority of its leaders, church and state, are in apostasy and in delusion. There is a remnant, of course, there always will be, but it is a dire situation, far worse than then. So if he said that about Greece 40 years ago, and Greece is now much worse, what can we say about our poor, pathetic Western world? Really, it's becoming one situation throughout the world, isn't it?